The news of Charlie Kirk overtook all coverage yesterday. The passing of the conservative firebrand happening at the age of 31 yesterday in an assassination attempt, the only way to describe it, is a shocking theme to talk about. But it's the only thing that most of the major headlines were covering all like last night. All the major news coverage was on Charlie Kirk. Everything I could find was Charlie Kirk, and many little pieces, snippets of things back and forth that were happening. Sort of a bit of Israel, firing on various places back and forth. So it was hard to create a show for this morning, or more difficult, not so much hard, for things you might have heard from the Conversation Project, because we have to pick 8 more or less distinct stories. We had some things already queued up, and a couple of other things just sort of bubbled in. But when the coverage went to Charlie Kirk and how much coverage it was, and what I'll complain about over the weekend, why it was, it's hard to really get any real perspective on what's going on. Now, this is a chance for us to talk about what was not talked about or is not being talked about as much because of the Charlie Kirk story being such a big story, developing, if you will, if you can. Still don't have a suspect in custody as of this moment while I'm recording this on the 11th early, and what the actual implications will be. I will have a not quite hot, lukewarm take over the weekend after a couple of days to go into it, because I have some issues with Charlie Kirk. Not that I personally know him, but just sort of what he's doing and why he's doing it, and his platform. So we'll go into that one, so there's more nuance and more chance for you to yell at me. But in the meantime, I think I'm going to do all of us a service by going over his list of things we're not really going into today, and maybe not tomorrow, and things that we actually did for us, the Conversation Project, because we do our best to make sure that we're not just stuck on the main headline that gets in the chyron all day. We talk about other things. So while we're not talking about Charlie Kirk, or while we're talking about Charlie Kirk, we could be talking more about some of these other things. They include the 24th anniversary of 9/11, which is today. Ceremonies and National Day of Service happening today. Now, this is something that's going to be a bit interesting, because as we roll into 9/11, and we talked about this was our first story to make sure we got off the bat. 24 years is one off of 25. That means it's sort of a rounded milestone anniversary. And the big things where people say never forget, we are starting to forget at this point, or not properly remember the way things happen. A Colorado school shooting happened yesterday, essentially around the same time that Charlie Kirk we're watching him on the news and dealing with the story there. One student is dead after shooting 2 classmates at Evergreen High, about 30 miles outside of Denver, which brought up a lot of Columbine feelings, because that school is in the same county where the Columbine massacre happened. The Paris Block Everything protests are spreading across the nation of Paris, with police clashing with demonstrators, making a big deal about everything in Paris. NASA had a big find yesterday, where Perseverance, their rover out there, found the strongest hints yet of potential life, but not proof of potential life on Mars. A big rock they need to look at. We obviously can't pick it up and bring it back home, but when we can prove it. There's also a back and forth between Musk and Ellison, Larry Ellison and Elon Musk, where Oracle, the stock going up based on some AI deals and money going into the markets, made Larry Ellison at $400 billion, the richest man in the world for the moment. Although it kind of fluctuates based on stock prices. And of course, the Tesla folks want to make Trump a trillionaire. We'll see if that plays out. Fox News has a new weekend show for Sunday with Jackie Heinrich and Peter Doocy. They're taking over a spot from the news beat, media beat from Howie Kurtz coming soon. U.S. inflation watch is on, where the August CPI is expected to tick up to about 2.9 year per year. So that's a big deal going forward. You'll start hearing more about rate cuts. Ukraine war is a big deal. We talked a bit about Israel striking folks in Qatar and striking folks all over the place because they want to basically get rid of all Hamas members. But Ukraine has some heavy fighting over the past couple of days, and strikes are getting bigger and bigger. And the Russians are attacking Kyiv, attacking the capital city of Ukraine, getting closer and closer to doing things that are unfixable, if you will. There has been a deal reached with the South Korean nation of South Korea and the company, the Hyundai plant in Georgia, that where they rounded up about 300 detainees, 300 South Korean immigrants, undocumented workers, head back to South Korea. Now, there's also a story out there about a person who actually was a whistleblower. We have that posted right now in the feeds, ready to go for you to engage in. So the person who basically said, hey, there's all these people undocumented from South Korea, you should check it out. we have a story on her, so we can start discussing that in detail once we're cleared all the Charlie Kirk stuff, of course. And what was already in the targets was NFL Week 2, tonight's Thursday night matchup between the Washington Commanders and Green Bay Packers, who are giving up 3.5 points per the spread, 8:15 Eastern time on your Prime Video. So if you're going to stay up late to watch a Thursday night game, check it out. Commanders and Packers both 1-0. Packers had a pretty good showing. Commanders as well. We'll see if they are going to be mid-tier or going ahead and take the tops, get a chance to get the first game of the week going forward. Those are a handful of stories that we are not talking about because we're talking about Charlie Kirk. And this isn't necessarily a gripe on that, because the Charlie Kirk story is the story. Let's be real about this. This is something from a standpoint of a former assistant news director watching what's going on. This is something that you're going to keep top of mind going forward, because people are coming in and out of your coverage. You want to make sure they get as much as they can, even in the case of where there's really not much going on to update folks. People want to know that everything's the same. They tune in, everything's the same. They'll come back 20 minutes later, find out everything's the same. They may start complaining about it, but they will turn back to you because they'll look and see what other people are saying about everything being the same. Absolutely nothing has changed since yesterday. Absolutely nothing has changed. Police have no one in custody. They're asking for more help in finding someone. They're now showing a picture of a person ducking behind an awning on a rooftop after the shooting goes off from someone's camera that was just kind of there, or a security camera. But right now, we have no answers. We have a lot of people who are wringing their hands. We have a lot of folks on the conservative side, the right side, who are saying they're at war. Let's bring that rhetoric down. We have Donald Trump saying we're going to avenge Charlie Kirk. Let's bring that rhetoric down. Let's find out some answers. Let's get some issues taken care of. And let's remember there are other things happening, other lives being affected, and other stories that must be told and covered, even while this one is being overly covered. This is one that we all take the hit for because I'm a media person. I'm doing this thing. I am the problem doing a story about Charlie Kirk and what we're not talking about, and then talking another 3 minutes about talking about Charlie Kirk. I am the problem. I understand that. But let's remember, there are other things affecting other people out there and affecting maybe you as well that aren't getting coverage because of something else being in the way. Do not stop shouting to the rooftops to make sure that your issues are not being heard, because they need to be heard. But also remember that the way engagement works, it's a cycle. Find your spot, get it in there, and talk about it. Conversation Project is good on talking about things. That list of things that we gave before, we talked about all of those things, and many of those stories actually popped into this morning's coverage somehow, some way. But you want to talk about some other topics that we have missed, that you think we're not putting enough emphasis on, or you think we should put more emphasis on some other ones that we're just doing kind of dabbling a little bit on, or if you want more Charlie Kirk, give me your comments. I don't expect this to be a very well attended video today, because I said nothing of note other than we talk about a lot of stuff. Thank you very much. But comments, criticism, and grades, very much welcome.